Welcome in the latest episode of That SEC Podcast, brought to you by Twisted Tea and My Bookie. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter, and I'm joined as always by my cousin Shane, who's sitting right there, and goes by Big Orange Vols. What's up, yo, Tennessee Homer?
Hey, babe, what's going on?
Oh, man. Great.
This was for you, LSU.
Yeah, we were joking. It's only, as we're recording here, it's Tuesday, but we haven't seen each other since Sunday.
Yeah.
Feels like an eternity. I mean, back then, LSU had national championship hopes.
Yeah.
I didn't look quite like a dumbass for picking them to win the West. A lot's changed since Sunday. You know what?
Absolutely, Mike. It's been kind of an eventful 2 nights. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about LSU getting manhandled by Florida State. That was embarrassing. Florida State's probably all tuned in. The whole state's tuned into this show. They want to see these 2 idiots react to that game. But I will say this, too. South Carolina fans, I mean, I guess all SEC, Clemson did go down. So I'm not saying that helps LSU's situation, but, you know, Gamecock fans especially took a black guy with North Carolina. Clemson made fun of them all weekend, and then they got embarrassed by Duke.
It comes around quick. You know what?
Hickory dickory dock, my friend. So any day that Clemson goes down, it's a good day for the SEC fans.
You know what's interesting? I had not even planned to ask you this, Shane, but I think I already know the answer. If you could give South Carolina and Clemson fans truth serum right now, and you said you can switch coaches right now, no, you know, all things equal, don't have to like trade players or anything like that, I would bet you probably about 95% of Clemson fans will make that trade. Mm-hmm. And I bet you not a damn South Carolina fan will make that trade. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the truth serum's big. Neither one would admit it. Neither one of them. But yes, because one, I feel like we're at the end of a road, and the other one at the start. Yeah. Shane Beamer has, and nothing against Spencer yet, but Shane Beamer has not had once in a lifetime talent quarterback come through those doors yet.
Right.
How many times has Clemson had that? And as soon as they don't have that, the wheels fall off. This offense is garbage. And you lose your defensive coordinator, and all of a sudden the defense it's like you almost say, okay, it wasn't the coach. It was what's around that coach is what made Clemson successful. And I don't know, man. I got my eye on this recruiting class. I was looking. I saw a couple of Sammy quotes, you know, and I don't know if they were true or not. But it's just a matter of time before Clemson's not the big bad fun place to hang out anymore. Yeah,
and but one thing, Shane, while it's true, I mean, generational quarterbacks gone from Clemson, they've suffered. The kid they got now, Cade Klubnik, he was a 5-star, I believe. Yeah. The guy before him, DJU, was higher rated than Bryce Young. Yeah. I mean, they're getting them, but they're not developing them.
Exactly.
And what Shane Beamer and his staff, they're open to the transfer portal, they're open to NIL, and Dabo's not, and you're seeing the results of that. You know what?
It's a change, man, and that's one thing. He was never a fan of paying players, the name, image, likeness. We all saw the the Jesus quote that he had out there, and I don't know. I just think that times we said this with Jimbo last year, and I'm not bringing up the bad days of Texas A&M, but here was a coach that was kind of stuck in his ways, and finally he's embracing the new concept, the new offense, and maybe he doesn't know the answers to everything, and those that adapt survive, and I just feel like that's where we're going to be with Clemson. And it's like, I joke that it's good for SEC, but look at, you just mentioned all the talent that has come down there that were stolen from Georgia and Alabama and Tennessee and South Carolina, Right. So if Clemson's not a fun place to be anymore, those recruits are going to start landing back into this conference. So, every time Clemson loses, it's big for us.
Well, Shane, I could talk about Clemson losing for all day long, but we got some SEC football to dive into. Tons and tons of matchups. It's going to be a hell of a weekend, Shane. None of these point spreads, unlike last week, well, Georgia still, but most of them are one-score point spreads, unlike last week, 40, 38, all this.
Yeah.
So we got some games to break down, buddy. You ready to talk some SEC ball?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so this is going to be a preview. We got to start Texas at Alabama, Shane.
Yeah.
The big matchup. Game Day's going to be there. SEC Nation's going to be down there. Fox is probably going to try to weasel their show down there. You know what I mean? This is a mega showdown. And it's a preview, obviously, of what's to come with Texas coming into the SEC. Last year, we were shitting on Texas. I think I went on fine by myself. Alabama's going to win by 48 points. That's just something wild like that.
Right.
Texas should have won that game.
Yeah.
And Texas didn't look great in the opener. But if they can live up to their potential, this is a tricky game. All these Alabama fans, Shane, they're on my ass now. Decaying Dynasty. We just whooped MTSU. But what's on the line? Who's got more on the line here, you think? Because Sarkisian, hey, we're trying to be nicer to Texas.
Yeah.
But I'm still not bought in on him as an elite head coach, as Texas head coach. I don't know if they expect to win a championship. Maybe not right now, but down the line. I don't know if Sark's the guy to get him there. If he wins in Tuscaloosa, I'll probably change my mind on that, and I'll probably be feeling pretty good about saying the decaying dynasty. So there's a lot on the line for both these teams and programs and coaches, but which one do you think is just got more on the line Saturday, Texas or Alabama?
Honestly, man, and I'm not saying Saban's on the hot seat or anything here, but I'm going to go Alabama just because when you're thinking of some of the big games that they've come across here the last few years, it seems like we didn't get that same fiery Alabama that we were expecting. And, everyone's expecting Alabama to win. And if you drop this game, they're going to say exactly what most people have been saying the whole offseason was that there's not a lot of gas left in his tank, similar to Dabo's. But if he can come out here and put the Longhorns away, and I mean that would be a fantastic preview to this storied, what do they call it? What's the revenge tour? Like this is like the actual one. You do that by putting this team away because everybody remembers how close this game was last year. They now know that you don't have the same quarterback situation, but yeah, Alabama looked really good against MTSU. What does that mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they look good against Texas, then everyone can buy into the fact that this is a team. They didn't get number one vote in the AP poll, So they're not completely sold that Alabama has arrived.
Right. And Shane, so I'll throw up a graphic here. I'm making graphics for all these matchups, just so you know. And a big one I'm going to use this year because I'm bought into the nerd rankings here, Shane. It's called EPA. And that's kind of advanced analytics, and it's all about what you do against the opponent you're facing. So if Alabama beats UMass by 100, that's not the same as Alabama beating Tennessee by 100.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
You get more points for beating a better opponent. And also key plays. Like if it's 3rd and 15 and Alabama and you gain 12 yards, that's okay. But if it's third and 3 and you gain 7, it's much more valuable to gain 7 on a 3rd and 4 than it is to get 12 on a 3rd and 15. So that's how you factor in all this stuff. And I say that because I don't want to throw too many numbers at you here, Shane. But there's a couple matchups here that is going to be elite. Texas defense, number 12 according to EPA in the country. Again, only one game, so these numbers are a little skewed. But Texas defense, number 12 against the run. Alabama, number 25. Running the football. So I think that's going to be a big matchup. Can Alabama run on this Texas front? And how about this one? This vice versa. Texas offense, EPA, number 99 in the country. Again, only 1 week, but that's awful.
Yeah.
And going up against Alabama, number 74. So Alabama, we know, they'll be in the top 5 by the end of the nation, end of the season. But if Texas can't run on Alabama, they're not going to win this football game.
Yeah.
Because we're hearing so much about the quarterback. We're hearing so much about these receivers. They got to give them time. But I think they have to be balanced, because if you're not balanced against Alabama, you got no prayer.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I think that's what we said last year about Alabama not being able to run and kind of putting it all on a quarterback to win the game. And that's been kind of the theme the last couple of seasons is I think our emphasis is on the wrong department, if you will. There's been some great quarterbacks that's come through Alabama, but that doesn't mean you just change the whole offense because of that. Now you don't have what they call an elite. Now, Milroe could be. I mean, he showed a couple of flashes of it last week, but I think if you're going to make a run at a national championship, if you don't have the running game these days, you're not going to make it.
Now, if all things are equal, and again, I don't really think these two programs are on equal footing by any means, but let's say they are on Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of goes without saying it's a massive, massive advantage that it's in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't think Texas, I don't care what they're doing in that league. There's no place as tougher to win in than Bryant-Denny Stadium. You know what?
Dude, and just the game day environment, like you said, every media outlet will be there. This is the game we've been talking about all offseason. We previewed, I don't know how many lists this game's been on of ours, but it's always been toward the top because a couple of things. Texas, Oklahoma coming here next year. It is a preview to what that's going to look like. Everybody's looking for that. Like, where do these guys belong? And you got to remember, when we get to the end of the season and they're looking for 4 teams to go on to the college football playoffs, they're going to be able to gauge a little bit on how good the Big 12 is or how good the SEC is off this one single matchup. So it's monumental. And it being on that platform, you better believe that fan base is going to be ready for it.
And the last time we were really tuned into Texas was when they traveled to Arkansas.
Yeah.
Sam Pittman. What was that, year 2 of Sam Pittman? And Arkansas whipped them on the line of scrimmage. That's something I'll have my eye on here because obviously Alabama a little bit tougher.
Right.
But Texas has had time. They brought in elite recruits on both lines of scrimmage. If they get physically whooped again, it ain't looking good for their transition to the SEC. But vice versa, I say if they hold their own against Bama, I'll say, all right, maybe they are ready for the SEC. I think that's a talking point too.
It's kind of weird vibes. Like we had this as Goliath versus Goliath, but now we're hearing, well, Ewers doesn't look as good as I thought he was, or does Sark, what kind of the play calling? I've heard a lot of people calling them out on that, and on the flip side, Alabama, look, they're perfect, man. Everything's working. They're just going to steamroll Texas. That's one thing I always, and I'm not saying this is a trap game by no means. I think they'll be dialed in, but with a young football team, sometimes if you start reading those clippings and then you come away like, we're going to come in here, we're going to beat. That's exactly what we had last year, and then you almost lost. So, it's preparation is key this week, man. They're going to have to be dialed in, or Texas will beat them. So,
most likely comment to be heard after this game, Shane. I don't know if Jalen Milroe's the guy from Alabama fans or Texas people saying we got to flip it to Arch. What's more likely, do you think, after this game?
Yeah, there'll be quarterback talk after this one, and I think that's one thing, because everybody in the SEC knows Arch Manning. Not a lot of kids know yours. And it's crazy. Right. It's a starting quarterback. So, absolutely. I can't wait for some just schmuck to be watching college football and be like, when are they going to put that Manning kid in?
All right, staying in the state of Texas, Shade. Big matchup here. A&M. It's actually on the road, of course, at Miami.
Yeah.
Very tuned into this game. It opened as A&M by 5. It slid a little bit to 4.5. Aggies are still favored. Last weekend, Miami. I don't know how this is legal. They played Miami last week. Miami of Ohio. I mean, that just should never happen.
No.
But they won 38-3. I rewatched it. They've got some good players. Number 4 of receivers, really good. They have former Ole Miss running back as their running back. Salty, but quarterback they say is good. I don't know, but a lot on the line for both these teams.
Yeah.
Disappointed last year, looking good right out the gate. Whoever loses, they're going to be written off as frauds. And whoever wins this game, you'll start hearing more buzz about them possibly being contenders in their conference. Thoughts on Texas A&M at Miami?
This one's going to be this is a key game for Aggies because even last year, this is when we felt like something was wrong with Texas A&M. And, it's funny because you and I were really high on their performance week one. But if you read the comments, everyone was like, yeah, it was New Mexico State, though,
Right.
That's what they're all going to say. They still got to see it. Well, when you play a team like Miami, if you come out and you kick their ass, then there's no more, they're there. They've arrived. And I think that's the kind of it's a statement game, This isn't a game that needs to be close. This isn't a game because everyone's going to judge College Station under a microscope during this matchup because not only did we remember last year, but, in the back of our mind, we're like, man, this program will never make it. Jimbo is definitely not the guy. But if you come out and you kick like I said, you kick their ass, then we're looking back saying, holy, they're back, man. This is it. Texas A&M is a real contender. So I love the Texas-Alabama matchup. This one here is the one that I want to see because I want to see how does Connor handle that pressure now that he knows he's got the job coming in. Now that he knows he's got all this weapons, he's a little bit more comfortable in that offense. If they win by 3 or 4 touchdowns, I mean, there's a real case that Texas A&M is going to win the West or could win the West.
Right. And to help Connor, he's got one hell of a receiving core. And that's something that old Jimbo hit on here leading up to the game.
Speak about the wide receiver room and how selfless they are because one day it might be Noah, the next day it might be Evan.
That's what you want. Here's what you got to understand. I mean, I've had teams where I had first-rounders across the board, okay? These guys, if you don't have talented guys where everybody can get theirs if they're one-on-one, you're not going to be – it doesn't work that way. This room here is one of the first ones we've had to across the board, my matchup's here. And that's what we're allowing it to do. Now the matchups – all right, if he's one-on-one, he can get it. If he's one-on-one, he can get it. If he's one-on-one, he can get it. And that's the way you got to be able to do that. And they know that if that guy's going to get his, guess what? It's going to come back over here because people ain't going to sit there and let you just keep catching balls and balls and balls, or next game they're going to plan for it. And that's why you got to have those guys. And I tell those guys, be patient. It's a whole season. It's all going to come around. Everybody will eat. You know what I'm saying? And then the ability to run the football. Your touches back there. Maybe a throwing game. Next game, all right, they're going to play cover 2 and drop 6, 7, 8 guys, and you're going to be able to run the football. And that's why your skill level, and that's what we've improved so much on it, I think, across the board, and our depth to be able to do that. And that's what makes it fun to play quarterback. And then when you're blocking guys, makes it real.
All right, Chase, so I know you love the home of the 12 receivers here, but that's really helping Connor in this Aggie. And that's why Bobby Petrino's pushing the ball down the field because we got these great receivers, and they're going to have to step up in a matchup like this where Miami, they've hit the portal hard to add a bunch of defensive backs. Yeah. This is going to be the matchup of the game. A&M receivers, Miami DBs.
Yeah, and I was watching, I think one of the Duke kids was a Miami transfer yesterday, and they lost a lot back there, and this is where you're going to have to expose the Hurricanes. And I think that's the problem last year is like we still could have done this last year against Miami. We just didn't have that downfield presence. There's flashes of it. But if they really open up the floodgates with all these dudes, and I thought he hit the nail on the head here, man. You can't cover one. There's not a guy. There's not one alpha coming in here. You got 4, 5, they're loaded. And if you start shifting toward one, you're going to expose the weaker side of your team. So, I think this is, I don't know what the over under is on this thing, but I'm expecting a lot of points in this one.
And I kind of forgot because, at this point, I just think Jimbo, I think of just being A&M coach.
Yeah.
But obviously he was at Florida State for a long time.
Yeah.
And they played Miami every year. So, they every year and then every other year, obviously down there. So he knows the track down there. He knows about playing in Miami. He was kind of pumping them up, even though we all know they ain't got an SEC home field. You know what?
Jimbo, piggybacking on that, you've coached against Miami quite a bit. Different players, different coaches. I get all of that. But do you see a common denominator when you prepare for this team?
Athletic, strong, physical, tough, competitive. A typical a Miami team, and knowing you're going down there and you're going into the Orange Bowl to go play. I mean, it's fun as heck as an opponent. I mean, if you like to be a competitor, I mean, you got to, because fans will be tough, they'll be brutal, they'll be banging on the bus as you're coming through the lot and all that good stuff. I mean, that's what gets you up, but that's part of it. But listen, the way they play and it's like they just have the same players and just switch uniforms year to year and switch the names. But I mean, always going to have great players, man. Great program.
It's pretty bad, Shay, when the coach is making these comments and all his rowdy comments are outside the stadium. You know what?
Yeah, it wasn't long ago they were bitching that nobody ever shows up to these games. So I don't know if rowdy environment is exactly what you're going to get down there in Miami, but you are going to get some high temperatures. Of course, I guess you're used to that, College Station, you know. So
yeah,
but it will be the spotlight. That's the big one. It's everybody's watching you and knowing that coming in. Yeah, I think that's where you're going to find out who can handle the pressure.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of pressure, Shane, I think Ole Miss, they may face some this weekend going on the road to Tulane.
Yeah.
Both teams are ranked. This is a top 25 matchup. Tulane beat South Alabama 37-17 last week. And obviously this is going to be their Super Bowl, man. This is,
yeah.
I don't know. I probably should have looked this up, but I mean, I can't imagine how many times Tulane gets to host an SEC team.
Right.
It's had to have been a while ago. This is after winning the Cotton Bowl. They got a hell of a quarterback. They've got some good receivers. Now they got an awful defense. So
Yeah.
I mean, this is almost the same team playing each other here, Ole Miss and Tulane. You want to talk high scoring? I'm expecting 100 points in this thing.
It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a fun environment. I wish. I mean, how often would you get an opportunity to watch an old SEC powerhouse Tulane? You know? It's like, I would love to go there just to kind of just take in the atmosphere of that game, because it will be fun. And Tulane's not a pushover. It's a top 25 team, like you said, and a lot of people read the names and they're like, well, Ole Miss will, you know, they'll beat the hell out of them. Well, you come in ill prepared. I don't know how many times I say that, but you do. It's how many times have we been shown that if you come in there and you half-ass it during a week of practice, it comes back and it bites you on Saturday. So I think Ole Miss will be dialed in, but again, this is this game is going to be tougher than you think. You know, I wonder if there's ever been like I don't know. We should do the history lesson at once, but like, you know, Swinney,
Georgia Tech, I think.
Georgia Tech, Tulane. I mean, I wonder if these guys, like the ones that made these decisions to leave the SEC, were like, you know, they thought this was the good move. You know, if like, you know, their family shunned them after this or something like that. You know, I wonder if that's the case. But we should do research. Maybe in the off season we'll look into that.
And looking at the advanced numbers here, Shane. The biggest mismatch I see on the board here, Ole Miss offense, their total EPA, number 5 in the country.
Yeah.
Now, again, probably a little skewed because they played Mercer, but they were so efficient, it still helped their numbers. Tulane defense ranked number 44. So Ole Miss, huge advantage there. Go on Saturday with their offense, Tulane defense. So that Jackson Dart should have himself a big day. Lane Kiffin says, of course, Jackson Dart, we already knew, but he makes it official. He's our quarterback. And he was also asked, Shane, about, you know, someone said like a tune-up or something like that. And he's like, by God, this is a top 25 team on the road, you know? So those comments are probably circulating in Tulane right now with all the tune-up. Come on now.
Just looking at the depth chart here, last week Jackson and Spencer were listed as co-starters. There's no or there this time. Can you take us through that decision?
Yeah, Jackson played really well, and like I've said, had a really good camp in spring, and so he's the starting quarterback, and said all along, we're extremely excited about that room, that depth in the room. Walker came in, played really well, made some really good throws in the game too, so you know, I always say each position group is its team within itself, and our goal is each year to improve that in the off season, and that position has been dramatically improved, like you saw the play from all 3 guys that went in.
Kind of alluded.
What does a challenge with Tulane in week 2 do for kind of helping you evaluate where your team is at?
I'm not worried about evaluating. I'm worried about trying to go beat a top 25 team. So this is not an evaluation game. Going into on the road for the first time with our team and into one of the hottest teams in the country and probably the hottest quarterback in the country off of almost being perfect last week. So I would actually like another evaluation game, but that's not what this is, certainly.
Tune up. I like it. Look at the EPA. Look at that SEC podcast, boy. We got hard hitting analysis now. Got robots and computers doing our work for us. I'm not even here. This is all was that CGI or whatever? That one, like I keep seeing these videos where they'll have like Johnny Cash sing, a Miley Cyrus song or something like that. It's just a matter of time for they're doing podcasts without real people. They're just some program.
All right, staying in the great state of Mississippi, Shane, Arizona at Mississippi State. Bulldogs favored by 8. Arizona beat North Arizona. Tricky opponent. 38-3 last week. And old Zach Arnett, brother.
Yeah.
He's a little concerned. This explosive passing attack. The Arizona coach, Jed Fish, from the NFL, he's got a strong track record of these quarterbacks. And their quarterback, Jaden DeLora, I think is his name, he was offered by Mike Leach. This is a talented, kind of like a poor man's Johnny Manziel. So keep your eye out on this guy, Zach Arnett. He's a little concerned over here.
Coach, you mentioned them. They clearly look to be a better team than they were last year. Is there really any carryover in what they do? It seems like they're really utilizing the screen game a lot this year. But has there been any continuity, I guess, in the concepts from this year to last on offense?
Yeah, you see a lot of carryover. Returning quarterback, I think, someone can double check me on this, but I remember seeing at one time, I believe they led the country last year in explosive plays of 20 yards or more. And if they did not finish at that up until the last couple weeks of the season, they were leading the country in number of explosives generated. They have a phenomenal scheme offensively. Returning quarterback, very mobile and agile. The sacks he gets out of when you feel like you have him bottled up in pressure, he flushes and finds a way out of there. He has one of the quickest releases I've seen in football right now. So very talented. Coach Leach and his staff had recruited him, and I think had him committed. They might have even signed him right at Washington State. And so very talented. Very deep stable of running backs, almost similar to us. They got all-purpose backs. Number 6, Wiley, is a tremendous player. He's out in the Territorial Cup, I believe it's called, right, versus Arizona State last game of the year. They got him out at number 1 wide receiver, running fade balls to him. He's making those catches. Then he's splitting you on an inside power play. The next play, he is a all-purpose, do-everything kind of tailback, and they are very deep, physical runners. They're big and talented, athletic up front. I can't say enough good things about their offense and the ways they challenge defenses.
All right, Shane, you buying it? Because this one has the feeling to me, Arizona at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Just the second game of the Zach Arnett tenure. And some people a little uneasy with how slow the first half was, even though they were up 27 at halftime. I mean, most Florida would have taken that slow start, you know what I mean? But South Carolina. But there's a lot on the line for Zach Arnett in this game. This is a game where he's got a lot to lose and not a lot to gain, because Mississippi State fans, they expect you to beat the shit out of teams like Arizona. Any pressure on the Bulldogs in this one?
Well, yeah. This isn't a FCS opponent, and people are actually talking about this game ever since that media guy took a blank eye. We'll put that picture up on the old YouTube channel. So, and for the listeners, there's a picture floating around. I think it was Mike Wright was on that. I can't remember who was exactly running the ball, but it was jumping a cactus, and let's just say the cactus looked a little inappropriate. So, but that was the talk. But again, people are talking about you, and this is a program that I'm not saying that was close last year, but there were some moments in that game you were wondering, wait, why is Mississippi State not putting this thing away?
Yeah.
it's games like this that will catch a new coach off guard. A team that maybe, because there was a lot of inconsistencies last week, there was a lot of mistakes, and that is not a big deal when you go against a team like they faced. But you do that against Arizona, then who knows? It may result in a 7 points the other way, and then if you can't get those explosive plays like this offense was supposed to show us week one, then all of a sudden you're playing behind the sticks, and so you got to be really careful. But again, you build a lot of confidence if you could come out here and beat a Division I team. So this is a big game.
Yeah, and this one jumped out the page at me, Shane, doing these EPA numbers. Arizona, number 1, according to EPA, in rush defense in the country. Mm-hmm. And remember, Mississippi State rushed for 298 last week, I believe the number. So they really leaned on that ground game. Will Rogers was a little off in his debut in this new scheme. I still got confidence in him, but they're probably going to need him. If Arizona's that damn good at defending the run, they ain't going for 300 on Arizona. They're going to need Will Rogers to step up, and Mike Wright may not be able to bail him out on this one.
Well, and again, maybe they had a little bit dialed back last week.
Yeah.
Not wanting to show. They must have led the country in screen passes last week. I'm not saying that's a recipe for winning games moving forward, but it felt like, I was expecting some downfield shots, and we didn't quite get that because
that's what we were built.
Yeah, absolutely.
The offense was
95% shotgun. If you tell me that, I'm expecting that. So maybe we see a little bit more of that this week, and if you can accomplish that. Dude, you thought Marks had a hell of a game last week. That's what helps your rushing is when you don't have 8 dudes in the box. Well, to not have 8 dudes in the box, you can't just be throwing little 3-4 yard bubble screens the entire game.
Right.
You're really going to have to get down the field. And so this is the game I want to see exactly what this Mississippi State. I think it was kind of skewed last week. I think this week is we're going to actually see what State's offense is going to look like moving forward.
Yeah, and I wanted to pull up the schedule real quick, Shane, because after this game is LSU, which, I hyped them up, obviously too much.
Yeah.
But, that's a more winnable game now at home, too. Mm-hmm. And then the following one at South Carolina, which if they can't get their offensive line issues fixed, that looks very winnable. Maybe these Hail State fans are right. What the hell? Why don't you have us 4-0? That wouldn't be stunning at all, but they got to take care of this one. But I'm just saying that the schedule looks a little bit more manageable after week 1.
Yeah. But I will say this, man. And I'm not, it's so hard not to overreact week 1. I get it. LSU, you're LSU, you're national champs. They took a black eye. But what if we get 5-6 weeks into this and we realize, man, they're not that good.
Exactly.
And then, but the problem is, or the good thing that could be for Mississippi State here. No, not a lot of people are talking about the Bulldogs, but if you beat them week 2, then all of a sudden you beat LSU. You beat a top 20 powerhouse team that had some people, committed to winning a national championship this year. South Carolina, same thing. We can mark off the first game with North Carolina because they've got a hell of a quarterback, and you could look at the injuries and say, well, maybe we were just a little thin at certain positions. But if South Carolina turns out to be nothing, a win week 2, week 3 is so much bigger for a team like Mississippi State than other teams that may find out later in the season. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
They're going to talk. I remember the what was it, Missouri and LSU a few years back. Remember that one? They
Eli's
were up there?
first conference game or second conference game.
They were making shirts, renaming babies after this game. You know what I'm saying? Then we find out LSU sucks, but we still remember, that key victory that Eli had. So, this Mississippi State may be sitting in a really good position here, but it all goes for naught if they lose week 2. So they can't drop this one.
Yeah, I remember this summer how many Mizzou fans hit us up. can we get game day when LSU come? I mean, LSU may have 2-3 losses by
That's
that.
right.
They're like, game day ain't coming to that one.
No,
Yeah. And Mizzou may be undefeated, but it wouldn't be their fault,
Absolutely. And I hate it too because I think Arnett's a good coach. I think he's a really good defensive mind.
Yeah.
And he may have a long future with this program, but he sucks at the podium. Nobody wants to listen to him, and that's why he's not still, everybody. Lane out here the other day talking about, what's his name? We brought, what was it?
Pete Golding?
Pete, yeah. He told, after that first touchdown, tells, Pete, I brought you in here. I spent a lot of money on you. That's not what we're expecting. So, but that gets airtime, you know what I'm saying? And some of these coaches, just by their bravado, they get that airtime, and Mississippi State's not getting that. They're not fun. They're not. No one's like just, I can't wait to get some more Mississippi State love here. But if you could come out and you could put like some points on the board and show folks that the air raid is here, that we can Mississippi State can be fun, it can help coach. So I'm not panicking or anything like that, but God, man, they need it. They need a strong September, man.
Yeah. Well, who's off to a strong September, Shane? That's Auburn.
Yeah.
They got to keep it going here.
Yeah.
At Cal, opened as Auburn a 7-point favorite. That's down to 6.5, so just barely moved. But Cal beat North Texas 58-21 in the opener, Shane. 357 rushing yards Cal had. And their running back, Jaden Ott, 188, 2 touchdowns. Hugh Freeze says, my God, he's a handful, this running back here. But
you mentioned Cal's tailback in your opening statement. Just what about him and the way they use him it makes him a special player?
Just hand it to him. They don't have to. I mean, it ain't like they have to create some special deal. Just run inside zone or outside zone or counter with him, and if it's semi-blocked well, he's a handful. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's got great vision. He is really, really talented.
A lot on the line here. A lot's going to be made of them having to travel across the country, and that certainly affected Florida against Utah. So not saying that's a reason to be overly concerned, but there's a chance here, Shane, to capture some more momentum, win a game that under the last coaching staff, I don't think they probably had a shot in hell at winning.
Yeah.
But this is another tricky one where, much like Tulane, Cal doesn't get to host many SEC teams. I mean, I don't know anything about their fans, but I would imagine they're going to be pretty fired up. And I believe, Shane, last time Cal hosted an SEC team, it was Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And they beat them. They beat Ole Miss. You good there?
God, they've been leaving for like 45 minutes over there. Here, the thing with Cal, man, for me, if Auburn wins this game, I think it gets some airtime, but I don't think it's like they're having a parade for it. But if they lose, everyone is going to critique the performance. This is a big game for Auburn because, they looked good last week. They looked really good. Does Thorne kind of dial his game in a little bit more? Do we still get? Do they get the love with touchdown Robbie, as I like to call him? The Tebow love. So I don't know. There's some excitement brewing down there on the plains, and I just don't want it to take a step back. I saw him on the side. Man, they're coming out. Hype reel. I saw that they came out. Coach says he won't get out on the field and dance with the players, but if they come over there, he'll do a little jig with them. So just kind of keep an eye on that, and hopefully there'll be a lot of scores in here because they're all bought in. I'm bought in. I'm sure you're bought in. And if you lose to Cal, or if it's close to Cal, then you're like, man, this is going to be a long year for Auburn.
These are the ones you got to win.
Absolutely, man.
Because as excited as we are about Auburn, the reality, and let's hope they win a bunch of SEC games.
Yeah.
And they may. But as that grind gets going, they just don't have the roster yet.
Yeah.
Now, they've added all these transfers, obviously, but they don't have the depth.
Yep.
They don't have the overall depth of a Bama, Georgia, LSU, on and on. Hell, not even Mississippi State. They don't have the depth. Texas A&M, keep going. I mean, basically all of them. This makes this almost a must-win.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not saying to make a bowl they have to win this, but it would be big. This will probably determine whether they have a shot at like a Florida Bowl.
Yeah.
If you ain't winning this game, you ain't getting there. You know what I mean? It's going to be a struggle just to get to a bowl. So that's big. We still don't know Jarquez Hunter, his availability. Hugh Freeze won't get into it.
Mm-hmm.
But the quarterbacks got to play better, aside from old touchdown Robbie there, just automatic touchdowns. But Peyton Thorne has got a lot of room to grow after that opener, even though the team was great. A lot to improve on. And that's something Hugh talks about, as well as, the plan. They're still going to play old touchdown Robbie. They're still going two quarterbacks because it's working for them.
Coach, you mentioned in your opening statement where you would like the quarterbacks to grade out. After watching the tape, how big is the gap between where you see they are and where you would like them to be going into Cal?
Well, Robbie didn't have to make many decisions, so but boy was he's really talented and vital to our success. He will have to make some in the future. The Peyton he had 3 decisions that were wrong, and I expect more. I expect him not to make the ones he made, and he knows that. But he played solid. You just would like that decision making to be around 100% on, particularly in the run pass world, where he's deciding whether it's a run or pass. Those need to be near 100%.
You seem to be coaching them pretty hard on the sideline. Is that what that was?
I'm crazy sometimes, but yeah, I'll get frustrated. I don't lie, and I tell them that. Look, but here's the deal: I'll play the next play with you now. My love for them doesn't change. Their performance has nothing to do with how. I learned this from my father, who's a tough man. But I went through a very difficult stretch, and my father taught me, listen, I love you. And it's not based on your performance. And so as long as our players know that I think I can coach them hard, and they see that, and they see a consistency, and, hey, he don't treat me indifferent, after the game, whether I threw the 4 touchdowns or 3 picks, I'm disappointed. Yeah, I feel like I ought to coach you better, and I felt like you ought to played better, but that doesn't affect. And I think Peyton knows that. And there were 2 things that happened in that same series, and he knew it. And I think when he missed the first one, and I'm yelling and screaming, which I probably need to. I'm figuring out who they are, and they're figuring out who I am. I think when I do that to him, he presses a little bit, and. He handed the ball off, and the safety triggered so hard, and the safety made the hit like 1 yard in the backfield. So how do you not see that? And that ball should be thrown. And so I'm doing with my antics over there, and he probably sees that. And then about 2 plays later, the darn safety stays as high as he can, and we pull it and throw it. And those are the 2 things that can't happen. And he's too intelligent, has too much of an IQ, and he'll get that cleaned up and fixed. And I've got to make sure I coach him in a way that is helpful and not and doesn't make him press.
Yeah, did you go into that game thinking Robbie was going to be like your red zone main guy, or did you just kind of go with the hot hand? I mean, because he was extremely electric.
I mean, you saw. I mean, as soon as we got down there, we put him in. So that's on the call sheet. So that's a plan. I mean, it wasn't something that I just said, hey, how about let's try Robbie here? It's planned. So, well, I mean, I don't know. I think every game plan is different. I just think he's super talented. And I think there's a lot of things we can do with him. And I know people are in this world and day and time, you can't play 2 quarterbacks. And, well, I don't know. Maybe they're right, but we're 1-0, and if we go 2-0 doing it, we'll keep doing it. If it starts to, but I think we need them both. But you see how talented he is down there, so sure, it's always going to be a possibility. Now you can't be so predictable, but we obviously weren't in game 1, and there's not enough tape to get really great data yet on what our tendencies are. So we'll come up with a game plan for Cal, as I've said all along, Robbie will always be a part of our game plan.
All right, Chase. So that's interesting. How far do you think they can go with this 2-quarterback system? Do you think at some point it messes with any of the offense or anything?
I don't know if it will mess with them if they continue to play like they did week 1. Where it's Thorne's team, but touchdown Robbie comes in key areas, third down, third and shorts, things like that, goal line. We've seen. It was just like the Swamp Kings. We just saw it the other day. It's the same thing with Leak and Tebow. It can work. It could win you national championships if you do it right. But the problem that you're going to run to is if Thorne loses a game.
Yeah.
That's when people – because everybody wanted Tebow, if you remember. They wanted Tebow to come in there. But – if Leak keeps winning games, you keep Leak in there. Don't mess the recipe up. But if Auburn drops one, which most likely is going to happen, long as it's not a team that you would expect to win, like an Alabama or even an LSU right now or something like that, that you can I can dust off. But a team like Cal that you could win, you should win. If that happens, then all of a sudden we got some fingers being pointed. We got players in the locker room saying we ain't got the right guy out there.
Yeah.
Shit like that. That's the thing you've got to really watch when you got a quarterback competition. And I feel like he seems like a player's coach, and if he can kind of gauge what that locker room's like, he'll be able to put the right guy out there. So it's a fine line. That's all I'm going to say right now, because it's all peaches and cream, when you're winning, but when the shit hits the fan, then all of a sudden, now you're going to make some tough calls.
And according to EPA, Shane, this is going to be one of the most competitive matchups in all the country this weekend. Real quick, Auburn offense, number 37. Cal defense, number 19. So it's a good matchup, but even better, Auburn defense, number 26. Cal offense, number 16.
Yeah.
So this is a very, very competitive matchup. Two great teams.
The EPA.
Potentially here.
What's that stand for?
Expected points added.
Oh, okay. Isn't it gas, too? Isn't that like a high... I'm sorry. Seems like I've heard that before somewhere. EPA gas. Yeah, EPA gas mileage. Yeah, fuel economy. Yeah,
maybe that's all I'm looking up is fuel economy.
That's fuel economy on the trip to California. So yeah, no, I kept thinking I've heard that somewhere. So okay, EPA, I got you.
All right, Kent State at Arkansas. Shane, first true home game of the season for the Razorbacks. How about this stat? Kent State. How many returning starters do you think? What's the lowest you've ever seen for a season?
Like 6, maybe.
0.
No, none.
I've never seen that before.
Wow.
And it showed week 1, brother.
Yeah.
They lost to UCF 56-6.
Wow.
The spread's 38. It opened 36. Now it's 38. So expect KJ and company to roll in this matchup. But
what was there? I know this. You may not have this pulled up, but do you know what Kent State's record was last year? Because everybody remembers
that was the one that played Georgia, right?
Yeah, right. Because everybody, when I hear Kent State, I immediately think of the Georgia game, and I remember them playing them tough.
Right.
So I'm wondering if last year was the season. Maybe they had a
5-7.
Okay, well there goes that thought.
Well, what happened, Shane, is the offensive coordinator left, and he was kind of the key to it.
Yeah.
He's Dion's offensive coordinator now.
Oh, okay.
And I think they took a bunch of the players.
Dion. He's everywhere, ain't he? Yeah. I saw a video just popped up. It was like him mowing, and I'm like, "What kind he's on? I can't get him off my timeline right now."
Now, this one sums up this matchup, Shane.
Yeah.
I hope there's no Kent State people out because I'm not trying to kill them or anything here, but
easy. Saban's listening.
EPA, Arkansas offense.
Yeah.
Number 9, elite.
Okay.
Kent State defense. Just take a wild guess. Out of 130.
Well, now I want to guess 130. Is it?
101.
Oh, okay. Well,
But it's massive gap here. So Arkansas should be able to do whatever the hell they want to this Kent State defense. But, Shane, the offensive line, Sam Pittman, not exactly thrilled with the showing against Western Carolina. And it was, again, guys out. I get it.
Yeah.
But this week, Shane said, I wish we would have knocked him off the ball. And he says Western Carolina was keying on it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good excuse for not being able to run the ball in Western Carolina. So let's kick it over to Sam Pittman one time.
Coach, it seemed like Bo Limmer had a couple snaps that kind of got away from him. I mean, do you really know what happened there? Is that anything to worry about?
Are you worried about? You seem to be worried about it, or no? I'm not.
Okay. And then as far as Tykees Crawford, I know Brady Latham wasn't there, but what do you think of his performance?
You know, I wish we would have knocked him off the ball more. You know, we had opportunities in some double teams, and I felt like our shoulder angle was off. To be specific with you, when the linebacker and the combinations behind you, you got to stay vertical as you can, and you got to work that more. That's one of the things we've got to clean up. If they're in front of you, it's easy because your shoulders are going to be aligned with him. But if they're behind him, your shoulders will never be aligned, but they can be vertical, just waiting on him to see what he's doing. And I think we were quick at times coming off with the guard and quick at times coming off with the center. I think we have to play better in there. But I thought Tykees, for his first, well, you know, he started in the Liberty Bowl, but didn't play much. I thought he did a nice job. I thought Braun did a nice job. It'll be nice to get Brady back. I think we'll have him, hopefully we'll have him back. He's going to practice today, so hopefully everything goes well and he'll be able to come back.
And just, you touched on the offensive line. Did you see anything from the running backs that you want to specifically clean up with the running game headed into this week?
I don't know if it's, you know, I felt like we was trying to make big runs, you know, the entire day. Sometimes you go in a stadium like that, and especially, you know, Jaden, the second play of the game, he goes, 65, 67, something like that. And then you go, well, man, he just had a big play. And a lot of times you'll run trying to make a big play when all your big plays come off of just doing what you do, and it opens every now and then. And so I felt like we were pressing a little bit, trying to make some big plays. They basically, I think their game plan was we're going to make KJ beat us with his throwing the football. I'm pretty sure they probably knew our game plan wouldn't be to run KJ. You know what I mean? And so they were going to stop Rocket and the running backs and things of that nature. And to be honest with you, a lot of plays were made by their safeties. Again, we addressed about the double teams and things of that nature. I mean, we had a couple of pin and pulls if we just, you know, we wasted 2 on 1. If we just clear it and hit first force with the guard coming out and let Bo clean up the front side backer, I mean, we're going to have some explosive runs, and we just didn't. You know, I think our efficiency, was 54%, which is half. Goal line, get a first down, 4 yards or more, which if you get around 60, you're doing pretty good. So we were under that. But we just had no explosive plays, you know. But I did think, I mean, pass protection, they got in his face twice. One, he flipped the protection, and it was a hot protection. He was hot on the guy and just, you know, didn't see him. And the other one was a play action protection where the back got out a little too fast and they green dogged in. And
Chad, so again, I'm not hitting the panic button. I mean, we just beat the hell out of Western Carolina.
Yeah.
But this is now, again, one game. So again, it's not probably even fair to say this, but last year the offensive line was not as good as we thought.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit shades of Kentucky last year, where we're like, offensive line is kind of an issue.
Yeah.
And their fans say, shut the hell up. We're the big blue wall. We'll get it figured out. And then it was 1 week, and then it was 2 weeks, and then it was 3 weeks, and then it was 4 weeks. And then by the end, they were like, well, yeah, we always knew they sucked. I was like, no. I mean, these are red flags here.
Yeah.
So they've got to enforce their will. I guess a team, they're favored by damn near 40 points. I want to see the offensive. KJ could throw 10 touchdowns. I want to see 10 rushing touchdowns in this one. I want to blow them off the ball like Coach says here.
Yeah.
We got to get this in order before SEC play.
You got to. Well, hell, you got to get it in order for BYU game.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So this is, I don't care if they have 11 in the box, Mike. If I turn to those guys and I say, hey, we need 5 yards.
Yep.
I'm handing the ball off to Rocket Sanders. I expect 5. I don't care what's in the box. I've got an SEC offensive line led by one of the best offensive line coaches in the world ever to exist in college football.
Yeah.
There's no reason that we don't see development in 1 week, with the take. Because, again, it wasn't like the offensive line sucked. It's just they made mistakes. They missed assignments. And that's the things that you can work on all week. And especially during games like this, Kent State is another one when you should say, you know what, boys, we ain't going to throw one damn time. And we're still going to win by 40 points. Am I right? That's what you got to – that's the mentality the Razorbacks should have coming into this one. And it should be a challenge for that offensive line, man. When you're an offensive line, you can't run the damn ball, and you got one of the best running backs in the country.
Yep.
You should be taking offense to that. It should be in your locker room, Rockets, average rush per attempt, and your job is to make sure that he gets the holes that he needs so that this offense, because that's, if these guys are going to be any good, Mike, if they're going to be any good in the SEC, they have got to establish that running game. No more. I mean, like you said, who cares if they throw for 5 touchdowns or 6 touchdowns? They have got to run the ball. So I'm going to have my eyes glued to that offensive line, and you should see it in the first drive when they have the script.
Mm-hmm.
The first, if you're looking at them, I would hope as an offensive lineman lover that they're like 10 runs back to, you know what I'm saying? We ain't throwing the damn ball. We're running through them.
Yeah. Like Alabama gets Cincinnati in the playoff.
Yeah.
Just lean on them. It'll be easy. You know what?
Absolutely.
And one final thing from old Pittman, Shane. We love this, but Anchorman.
Yeah, he's reading the prompter, or this little paper, and he says, "Damn, I read anything." We'll play the clip.
You write anything down here? I feel like the Anchorman. I'm getting ready to read something. I'm Ron Burgundy. But there's nothing on here, right? I'm good. It says short yardage situation flaws. How important was it for this? You could
truth be told, I'd say the same thing. I love Sam, and that's one of the reasons I love him is because he is down to earth. He is a human. That he's not just a robot demanding the most out of his players. He's such a cool cat, and I that's what makes me want him to be successful. Because a lot of those coaches don't get that opportunity, and he's got a really good roster this year. And you think about it, man. Next year, no KJ Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, no Rocket Sanders. And I'm not saying that it's going to fall off, but we're all going to look at this year as the opportunity that Arkansas had to win a lot of games. And I want the best for Sam and the fan base especially because they remember it. Us, me and the Vol fans and Arkansas fans, we remember it. We went through some dark times. Chad Morris lost another one there at Clemson. Didn't even know he's on the. They should fire him right now. You know what? They should keep him there. Let him run the offense. But you know what I'm saying? It's like you go through those tough times and you get to see little glimpses. You get to see light at the end of the tunnel. The light's at the end of the tunnel, and I hope Sam and them figure it out.
And again, I'm trying not to go. Hyping this team up now, burying them, but their first SEC game at LSU, week 4. Again, I'm not saying that's a gimme now, but doesn't look quite as formidable as it did a week ago even.
But again, LSU, tough week 1, but there was some good stuff too. I mean,
they had their opportunities.
They had their opportunities to win the game, and it's just they got embarrassed on the front, just like we were talking about Arkansas's line of scrimmage. LSU should be doing the same damn thing, soul searching right now. You shouldn't have Florida State guys coming out here saying shit like, "Oh, well, yeah, the offensive line said you guys were pretty good up front." I mean, who says it? That's all hearsay. I don't know if they even said that, but that's not the LSU I know. LSU, the big old boys, tough defense, and they can run the ball. And we just didn't get all of that put together week 1. But I'm not panicking because they lost last year and went to an SEC championship. So
yeah, so I probably shouldn't either. But I'm just seeing my comments here
I
from
know.
all these FSU
Yeah, them
people.
Knowles, man. I've had more Knowles added to my account this week than any fan base.
They're commenting on new videos.
Yeah,
Just
they're going back. Yeah, they're looking at last videos where I was last year's when I was telling them that LSU's going to kick Florida State's ass.
All right, how about Vanderbilt at Wake Forest? Shaded opened. Wake Forest favored by 13.
Yeah.
Now it's down to 10.5. So the money's coming in on Vanderbilt. That's surprising to
Yeah.
me. Wake beat Elon last week, 37-17. But we have made it no secret, Shane. We're a little disappointed in Vanderbilt, at least what we've seen. But hell, they're 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's crazy that we're sitting here.
Ugly win's a win.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
but can you imagine 2 years ago us complaining about 2-0 Vanderbilt? But this is a real opportunity, Shane. This is almost a must win if they want to make that bowl
Yeah.
trip promise or goal they had in the preseason. You know what?
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. Because even for them to make a bowl, they're still going to have to steal a win in the SEC.
Two, probably.
Yeah, most likely two. But I'm saying it's hard enough getting one.
Right.
You know, they did two last year, but yeah, you got to win every non-conference game. Period. If you're going to go to a bowl, and I think that is the new line in the sand. You know, I know they're not going to fire Coach Lee if they don't make a bowl this year, but I've seen progression every season, every game, it feels like. And that seems like the next step for this program. And doing that's what they can sell on the recruiting trail when they're bringing these kids in, saying, hey, man, hang in there. We're going to develop you. We're going to get wins and eventually be competitive in the SEC. So you can't do that if you lose to Wake Forest, period.
Right. And I don't really care where the game's played, whether it's home or away. Wake Forest, that's another one. Not a great home field advantage.
Yeah.
They just lost their quarterback to Notre Dame. This is not an elite Wake Forest team. But, I mean, there's probably a reason they're favored. They did beat Elon. We got to give
They got
them
a built stadium. I mean, you may actually have nicer facilities to change in, so boost team morale that way.
But seriously, this is if you go on the road and can beat a team that you're a double-digit underdog to, there's nothing that can give you more confidence than that going into SEC play. You know what?
I think that's what they need too. You know, they've just been kind of sluggish and they've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but you know, that would be a big win, you know, and your coach can tell you so much. Coach can come out here and say, hey, we're getting better. We're getting there. We're building this thing. But if you're not seeing the product on the field, if you're not seeing it on the scoreboard at the end of the game, you know, it's demoralizing as a player. So I think that's what they need. I think they need it's a confidence booster,
right?
You know, going out here and just playing a not a perfect game, not a flawless game, but as close to it as possible. That's what we're expecting from this program because they've got so much seniority on this roster. These guys have all done it, you know. So stop making the stupid mistakes.
And I would also say this, Shane. I mean, if you're playing ugly and you're still winning, imagine what Vanderbilt can do if they put a complete game together.
Yeah.
I think they can be a lot better than what they've shown.
Absolutely, man. It's Swan, too. I want to see this. It's time for him to really shine. If they're going to beat some SEC teams, Swan's going to have to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And beating a better team on paper than you is a good step.
Well, speaking of being better than what you've shown so far, Shade, Ball State at Georgia. It opened 42 points. Now it's 42.5.
Yeah.
This may get to 44 by kickoff here. But, I mean, anything you really want to see from Georgia, I mean, I think it goes without saying we want to see them be a lot more efficient right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, to me, it's about Carson Beck, getting him rolling, getting his momentum going with these new receivers, new targets.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that cleaned up, but again, it's very hard to learn anything